How telling is it, those notes that they sent?
Well, it shows you, for one, that they're thinking, that this is not something that they've just reacted to viscerally. It tells you, two, that they're working through the evidence. They're starting with the beginning of the conspiracy, as alleged by the prosecution, and sorting out what they can about, did it happen the way prosecutors say, or did it happen the way defense attorneys say? But it's a very dangerous proposition to read too much into a note, because you just don't know what the dynamic in that room is, what compelled the note to be sent through.
Can you speak to the significance of the moment here, Michael? We've spoken so much about each wrinkle and each detail of this trial. But if we back up a couple of hours to earlier today, we saw something we've never seen before. In this case, a criminal case against a former president going to the jury. The fact that this is uncharted means it's impossible to predict what's going on here. How are you looking at the next couple of days, potentially, in Lower Manhattan?
Well, I think, like everybody in America, whether you're pro or con Donald Trump, with anxiety. You want the system to work. You want there to be a verdict one way or the other. You don't want a hung jury. You want to be able to say our democracy and our jury system worked the way it was intended to work. You know, the outcome is the outcome, but the process is, for me, the most important thing. And I'm watching to make sure that it is done as appropriately as is required by the state law and the Constitution.
Well, of course, what is required is for the jury to have its findings be unanimous, whether it's for acquittal or conviction. How likely is it in your mind that we actually end up with one of those definitive solutions on all 34 counts versus there being a hung jury on at least part of them, on some of the charges?
A great question. We don't know what's going on in the jury room, but we do know this, that if over the course of deliberations, there's a split in the jury that seems not easily reconciled, the court will issue them an instruction that says, essentially, you must reach a verdict. Nobody is better than you to reach this verdict. Don't make the defendant sit through another trial. Really buckle down and come to a conclusion. That Allen charge, as they call it, is sort of the push that the judge makes to say, you guys can do this. And if it comes to that, we'll see whether the Allen charge, which is usually outcome determinative of a verdict, makes the hung jury move in the direction of a verdict one way or the other.
Does it bother you, Michael, that we're seeing reporting about specific jurors? There's apparently a juror on the panel here, and I won't even say the number, as the New York Times did earlier today, who might be a Trump fan, for instance. We're hearing more specifics than the judge would probably want us to hear when their identities are being kept from the public. As somebody who makes a living in court, Michael, how concerned are you that this is being talked about openly?
Well, there is a lot of conversation about one particular juror who answered the jury questions about where do they get their information, and one of them said he gets it, or she gets it, I forget, from both Truth Social, and they follow Michael Cohen. They didn't talk about newspapers or other media outlets, and everyone is jumping to the conclusion that because they follow Trump on Truth Social, it must mean that they are an acolyte. And I don't think that that's true. I mean, if you asked everybody in your newsroom, do you follow Trump on Truth Social? They say, absolutely, it's part of my job. So we just don't know what it is that is the, underlying reason for the following of Truth Social, but they also follow Michael Cohen. So I think one has to remain agnostic about this and be hopeful, to the process point that I just made, that the jury follows the judge's instruction and renders a verdict on the evidence that's been presented in the courtroom and not anything that preceded it or in the, sort of ozone around Donald Trump otherwise.
Speaking of Donald Trump's kind of zone, if you will, he obviously is dealing with a multitude of criminal cases. The difference between this case we're discussing now that's actually in trial and the others is that it's moving forward. The others are not, including the one here in Washington brought by Jack Smith related to 2020 election subversion that is awaiting a ruling from the Supreme Court around Donald Trump's claim of presidential immunity in that case. We now understand, Michael, that Justice Samuel Alito, despite concerns about flags affiliated with January 6 rioters that were flown over his home in recent years, will not be recusing himself from any case regarding Donald Trump or on January 6th. And Donald Trump, out on Truth Social today, congratulated him for that, saying Justice Alito deserves congratulations for, quote, showing the intelligence, courage and guts to refuse stepping aside. What does his refusal to step aside tell you, Michael, and how do you read Trump's reaction to it?
Well, you expect Trump to be happy about this, just as he's criticized every single judge that's held any of his cases except Eileen Cannon, the jurist in Florida that seems to be delaying his case indefinitely. So anyone who's sort of on Trump's team will get his praise. Anyone who's not will get his scorn. I think that this shows a terrible deaf ear, political deaf ear by Justice Alito. The Supreme Court is in most low regard in its recent history. And it's for reasons like this that it is. And here's Alito, his first reaction is, oh, it's my wife's fault. But for goodness sakes, you're a Supreme Court justice. That really can't hold water. And I think he would have been better off, even if he doesn't have a technical legal obligation to do so in the interests of the reputation and the integrity of the court as viewed by the American public. I think it's a mistake on his part, but he doesn't seem to care.